Hey guys, what's going on? This is Wyrd here, and today I have for you a ladder game between RenegaDe, our red Zerg here in the lower left, versus Crank, the blue Zerg here in the upper right. Crank, of course, playing under the tag Liquid Bisu. I got this off of GoSuGamers.net, and it said it was RenegaDe versus Bisu, but Crank does play under the tag Liquid Bisu, and after doing a little bit of research, Bisu does have an American tag, and it's just Bisu. So I'm assuming, I believe correctly, that this is actually Crank. And it is going to be Crank versus RenegaDe. RenegaDe, unfortunately, I couldn't really find any information on. I thought I would be able to find a little bit of something, but my Google Foo turned up little. But this is a recommended game on GoSuGamers, and they usually do come out with some pretty good stuff for them, so I'm sure this is bold on that page for a good reason. Now, of course, we are going to be here on Daybreak, probably one of the best PvZ maps there is. Bisu's going to be here in the upper right. Or not Bisu, I'm sorry. Crank. Look at that. I'm going back on my word already. And of course, RenegaDe on the lower left. This is a map where stuff can happen. We could see early third bases. We could see the big Roach Bust. We could see Ling Infestor style is actually pretty popular on this map as well, because you can do the Infested Terran bust on the third base. Works really well here. There's definitely a lot of possibilities for Zerg. Not as many possibilities for Protoss. You pretty much always go Immortal Sentry here. I rarely see much else because Immortal Sentry does work very well on this map. There's not a whole lot of very open spaces. There's like right here above the third and right here in the center, and this is where usually the final battles of the game will take place. So generally Protoss never ever fights here until they absolutely have to. So we are actually going to see Crank here laying his pylon very close to his Nexus, kind of like WhiteRaw used to do a little while ago, or kind of a while ago. Back when I think it was even back before Forge Fast Expand was really the norm. But it's going to be Nexus first with pylon close to the natural, or the Nexus. Now, the reason WhiteRaw did it was because he could defend 6 pools better if his stuff was near his Nexus. Obviously, you can't wall if your stuff is near your Nexus, but you do have a much better shot at defending 6 pools. You're probably not going to lose your tech, stuff like that. So, I mean, the logic is there. The logic makes sense. It's definitely fallen out of favor. We'll see what Crank can do with it. Meanwhile, RenegaDe is going to go ahead and go pool before hatch here, as most Zergs tend to do. He would have been safe with a 15 hatch here, you know, in retrospect, since the Forge is quite a bit later. But, hey, you can't know these things, so perfectly fine for RenegaDe to do that now. My question is, what exactly is Crank going to do to follow this up? And of course, will RenegaDe be taking that early third? Odds are pretty good that he will. I generally get that around 410. Oh, my dog's down here. Hello, dog. We are going to see a couple links coming up here. They're going to try to get rid of the possible probe that might be there to block it. Not going to be there in this case. This is actually Crank's first scout of the game. He'll come up here, he's going to see the natural is up, Queen going to chase him away, and he's going to go get a confirmation on that third, which is very important for the Protoss to get. You need to make sure that your opponent is laying down that third. Otherwise, of course, you need to worry about 2 base all-ins. You need to worry about some serious pressure coming at your front door, and that's not something you want to be faced with unprepared. So, looks like the probe is going to escape for now. We do have Crank with both of his gas up, and he actually does have a, of course, the +1 on the way, which means generally it's going to be some gateway pressure. Some players like to pair this with a Void Ray. I've seen Crank play, you know, a few games. He does do Stargate pressure versus Zerg, but usually it's on maps like Antigua Shipyard, where that pressure is much more viable in certain spawns. So I wouldn't necessarily expect to see the Stargate play. It's probably going to be your more standard 4-gate pressure, but then it probably will, of course, blend later into Immortal Sentry. Back in RenegaDe's base, we don't see him taking his gas yet. Of course, this is very normal. Most Zerg will wait till 6 minutes, or somewhere between like 6:10 and 6:30 to take that gas. And that way they will have enough to get some roaches when and if they need them, which they usually do. And here we go. So he is laying down those 4 gates. Going to be some standard 4-gate pressure. Might not even be pressure. Could be defensive. We don't see... Oh, no. Here we go. Probe is going out on the map. So he likely is going to try to lay down a proxy somewhere. But, of course, RenegaDe is hot on this probe's tail, and I very much doubt he's going to let it get away. So we shouldn't worry too much about that, and Crank probably will have to come out with an escort for the next probe, because this probe is pretty much certainly doomed. Now we do have the 2 gas taken for RenegaDe. He will be able to get speed, he will be able to afford some roaches, and of course move to a lair, which most players generally will get around 8 or 9 minutes there. And now we do actually have Crank laying down the Twilight Council, so he's going to be laying on the pressure, probably Blink style here. He only has 3 gas, so it's certainly going to be Blink, definitely not going to be Dark Templar. I mean, he's pulling a lot of gas, but you're generally just not going to be able to get enough Dark Templar without 4 gas. And oh, wow. Did he actually let this probe get away? Oh, no, this is a different probe. Okay, so this probe is on patrol there. And this one is laying down a couple of pounds. This makes you think, if he can get away with this, maybe he could go for a Dark Templar. We are going to see Zealots morphing in and not Stalkers, so it is going to be DTs. Yeah, and he is getting the 4th gas now. I'm guessing it's going to be DTs. Oh, it's really too hard to tell now. He's really in between the tech paths. We do see this Zergling going to get taken down now as the probe manages to come back alive. These 4 Zealots going to come in here. The +1 has completed, forcing a cancel on that Spine Crawler. Do we have a Roach Warren? Yes, Roach is in production for Renegade, but right now these Zealots are going to be very, very powerful. We're going to see a full surround with Zerglings and drones, but for every Zealot they kill, 4 more are going to warp in to take their place, and he is losing so many Zerglings here. These Zealots so good against this tech. And now with Roaches coming out, we got 10 Roaches, 12 Roaches about to pop. He should be fine. He is going to get that Queen, though, and he's definitely done some really good damage. Killed actually 4 workers, a ton of Zerglings. He's behind 400 resources in the Resources Lost tab. Now, Roaches are pretty good against Zealots, but you have to kite. If these Zealots get up against these Roaches, they're going to be taken down very quickly. In fact, Crank is doing huge damage with these Zealots. The Roaches do not have speed. Of course, they can't quite kite quite as well as they could want to, but he is eventually going to take down these Zealots after suffering a lot of damage. And that was just, I think that was only, yeah, 3 warp-ins worth of Zealots, exactly 1,200 resources lost there. And now we do see the Blink on the way there, so he's going to follow that up with some more pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4 gateways, 4 more gateways, and a Robo coming on the way. This is very likely an all-in. The Robo might even just be for an Observer to fight Burrow Micro, although he could, of course, couple that with an Immortal. He would have time while he waited for Blink to finish. He's going to have +2 as well, so it's a +2 Blink all in off of 8 gates, and possibly Immortals coming off of this Robo, but I feel like it might just be Observers. Oh, it's actually going to be a Warp Prism for forward warping. Renegade has managed to take out one of the pylons. Doesn't know about this one, though. And, of course, this Warp Prism could be for forward warping, or it could be to pull Renegade's army toward the back by warping in a few Zealots into his main mineral line. Renegade, meanwhile, on 3 gases. Lair is up. He is working on that Roach speed, and it should be done. Oh, actually, it might not be done by the time this attack hits. Crank's moving out right now. His proxy pylon still stands. This is a dangerous spot to be in. Renegade is going to get a scout on this army. He's going to see that it's moving out. Crank not quite going to pick off that Changeling. And Renegade, does he know about all these gateways? 1, 2, 3, 4. He sees quite a few gateways at the front, but right now I think he only sees 6, which is a very normal number for the Protoss to have. He might not be fully aware that a huge army is coming in right now, and it looks like we just have the Warp Prism is out. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did the Warp Prism go? We do have an Observer out as well here. And oh, the Warp Prism is in a forward warping position here. But with that pylon there, you shouldn't need to worry about that little bit supply blocked, but the pylons are going to finish up. Renegade has a good supply advantage. He might be able to hold this off, but it's going to be very tough. These are +2 Blink Stalkers, and we got sentries here as well for Guardian Shield and Force Fields. Cuts off a lot of those Roaches. Now they're going to have to deal with this army all by themselves, and he's going to get 5 or so free Roach kills there, which is a huge deal for this attack. This Warp Prism going to be able to warp right in the front. A bunch more Roaches coming out for Renegade. Is it going to be enough? Crank rather, going to move around the front. Going to start working into the natural now. This Warp Prism purely going to be used for front of the gate reinforcement. Going to break down these rocks, and he's going to start moving in. Now he can, of course, use this Warp Prism. He can even warp in Zealots on top of the army during the attack, which adds so much DPS to the army of Crank. But man, Renegade's supply advantage is really good. These Spine Crawlers are going to get burrowed now, but is it going to be enough? The Roach is getting a good hug on those units. There's no Guardian Shield, not enough energy here for Crank. Roach is going to pull back to the safety of those Spine Crawlers. Very useful against gateway units. And this is going to be tough. This game really could go either way. Crank has a lot of Stalkers here. It looks like he's loading the sentries in, and he could force field the ramp. Come up here, blink into the main, force field the ramp, and stop all of these units. The entire army of Renegade is outside the base right now, and he's going to do it. The ramp is force fielded. Crank has free reign in the main of Renegade. He's going to get the lair. He's going to stop all the production from here. And Renegade might decide to just go for a base trade at this point. Army supply is currently 88 to 63. No, he's actually going to GG out right there. He knew it was hopeless. And that is going to be the end of that game right there. Very quick, abrupt ending. A good decision there from Crank to go into the main. And very well played. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this cast. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And also go check out the Coconut Network. I have them boxed on my channel. Go check them out. It's going to be just a group of casters doing what they love and providing content for all of you. So make sure to take a look. And word up.